I love taking pictures of watersheds, and that's really because I love seeing the world in terms of watersheds. I think that they're one of the best examples of how, when you understand the science underlying something, it adds this rich new lens of detail through which to see the world. And watersheds are great for this because they're everywhere. They cover from millimeters to continents, shaping the world in their image. And they're really the fundamental organizing unit of our landscapes. And that's because rivers really act as the fundamental reorganizing force of our world over geologic time, bringing things from high to low, big to small, and from inert to organic life. And when you start to see landscapes in terms of these processes, it adds this amazing sense of logic and detail to them. And I like to call this sensation, this experience, scientific X-ray vision. Nowhere is really better for science X-ray vision and watersheds than the Colorado River Basin. So the Colorado spans from the Rockies to the Sea of Cortez, 1,400 miles across some of the driest parts of the United States. And along the way, it carves some of the world's most iconic landscapes. And what I think is extra cool about these places is that before rivers carved the West, they built it. So each of these sedimentary layers represents a former world that has already been through this process of recycling and transportation at least once. They were brought by ancient rivers and deposited into ancient seas, only to be recarved again by today's river systems. The people who live in the American West live constantly among these monuments to ancient worlds, and the ground beneath their feet that is currently being carved away and shaped by rivers was itself built by them. In the desert, you also get this amazing phenomenon where you can really see this process, especially in photos and in aerial photos. You can have this amazing, clear sense of how our landscapes are just these restless watersheds. And the rock record speaks to this as well. These rhythmites from near the Colorado's delta in the Gulf of California are an amazing rock record of how powerful its land building used to be. Each of these 6-inch layers, it represents just a single year of the Colorado's runoff into the delta. These sediments today make some of the world's most valuable farmland around the Imperial Valley, which supplies 2/3 of all of the vegetables that Americans eat in the winter. And it's really an interesting twist that in order to sustain life in the American West, we've really required mangling and stopping the river process in its tracks. We plug the Colorado with 15 dams along its length. We pump it up hundreds of miles and thousands of feet out of its watershed with aqueducts like this. The alterations that we have made to the Colorado River's watershed are what are responsible for our way of life in the American West, but they also cause the river processes that built our landscape to come grinding to a halt, and like the sediments in the rivers to be impounded behind dams and settle to the floor of reservoirs like this. So as we have hobbled the river, we've also become more and more dependent on it. And we use the water in these systems so extensively that there's less flexibility now for natural changes and climate change. And that's why it's really more important than ever to study places like the Rocky Mountain headwaters of the Colorado River, where 80% of its flow starts as snow. The scientists from Berkeley Lab's Watershed Function SFA have made this watershed one of the best studied in the world, which requires year-round grueling work like skiing into the backcountry on bluebird powder days, and studying the ways that water interacts with biospheres and ecosystems, soils and microbes, all of which impact both the quantity and the quality of the water that goes downstream. And headwaters matter because we all live downstream. So understanding landscapes in terms of watersheds is critical in the American West. And I think photography is a really powerful tool for doing that here, because watersheds are both beautiful and everywhere. And the ability to see landscapes in terms of the watershed processes they contain was really one of the first gifts I got from learning geology. And it's one that I hope I was able to give a little bit to you today in the form of science X-ray vision with these photos. Thank you.